The envelope arrived on a Monday morning, March 18, 2024, at 9:23 a.m. My assistant, Rebecca, brought it in with my usual stack of partnership proposals and merger inquiries. Morrison and Whitney received dozens of these every week, smaller firms hoping to partner with one of the largest corporate law firms in the country. Most got a polite rejection. "These need your review," Rebecca said, setting the stack on my mahogany desk. The Anderson Group merger is time-sensitive, and there's a proposal from a small firm in Chicago that might be worth considering. Chicago? I looked up. Which firm? She checked her notes. Brennan and Associates. Mid-sized, about 40 attorneys. They're looking for a strategic partnership to handle overflow work and access our international resources. Brennan and Associates. My father's firm. I kept my face neutral. Leave it with me. After Rebecca left, I stared at that envelope for a full 5 minutes before opening it. The proposal was professionally formatted, 12 pages detailing their practice areas, client roster, and financial projections. The numbers told the real story. Revenue down 23% over 3 years. 3 major clients lost in the past 18 months. Aging partners with no succession plan. They were drowning. This wasn't about growth. It was about survival. The proposal was signed by 3 senior partners, Robert Brennan, Thomas Mitchell, and Michael Brennan. My father's name was first. The man who told me I'd never make it as a lawyer. Who skipped my law school graduation. Who spent my entire childhood comparing me unfavorably to my older brother, Marcus. And now he was coming to me for help. He just didn't know it yet. I called Rebecca. "Schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Tell them to bring all their senior partners." I hung up and sat back, looking out at the Manhattan skyline from my corner office on the 43rd floor. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. The problems with my father started early. I was 8 when I first heard him say I wasn't smart enough to be a lawyer. It was at a family barbecue in 2001. My uncle had asked about my grades, and before I could answer, my father laughed and said, "Katie's a solid B student. She tries hard." But Marcus has the brain for law. I had straight A's that semester. No one mentioned it. By high school, the comparisons were constant. Marcus joined the debate team, so I joined. He became captain, so I did too, but my father never came to my competitions. Marcus got into Northwestern. I got into Princeton. Northwestern has a better pre-law program, my father said. Marcus scored a 168 on the LSAT. I scored a 172. The LSAT doesn't measure what really matters, he told his partners. Marcus has instincts. When I got into Harvard Law, his response was, well, they have to fill their diversity quotas somehow. I was a white woman from an upper-middle-class family. I got in on merit. He couldn't admit that. The breaking point came during my second year at Harvard. I was home for winter break. My father was hosting a dinner party for his partners. I heard him in the living room. Marcus is clerking for Judge Patterson this summer. Federal Appellate Court. That's real legal experience. Someone asked about me. Katie? She's doing fine, I suppose, but she doesn't have what it takes. Too soft. Too emotional. She'll probably end up in legal aid, helping people with parking tickets. The room laughed. I walked in. 12 people turned to look at me. Actually, I said, my voice shaking but clear, I just accepted a summer associate position at Cravath. Starting salary of $3,800 a week. Silence. My father's face flushed. Katie, this isn't the time. You're right. It's not the time to humiliate me in front of your colleagues. I turned and walked out. I packed my bag, called a taxi, and flew back to Boston that night. He called the next morning. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed me. I was making conversation. You were making me the punchline. I paused. Don't call me again unless you're ready to apologize. He didn't call. I graduated from Harvard Law in May 2016, third in my class, published in the Harvard Law Review, with job offers from 6 top firms. My father didn't come to graduation. He said he had a case to prepare. Marcus came. My mother came, looking uncomfortable. My father sent a card with a check for $500 and a note. Congratulations. Hope the degree serves you well. No, I'm proud of you. Nothing. I started at Cravath. The work was brutal, 100-hour weeks, impossible deadlines. I saw associates cry in the bathroom, quit without notice, develop drinking problems. I thrived. Because every time I wanted to quit, I heard his voice, "She doesn't have what it takes." So I worked harder. I made partner in 7 years, faster than average. In 2021, Morrison and Whitney recruited me as a senior partner. In 2023, at 35, I became the youngest managing partner in the firm's history. We had 1,200 attorneys across 12 offices. Annual revenue of $3.2 billion. I ran it. My father had no idea. We hadn't spoken in 8 years. Now, staring at his firm's proposal, I realized I had something he needed. And tomorrow he was going to find out. Tuesday afternoon, 1:47 p.m. I was reviewing the proposal one final time. At 1:55, Rebecca buzzed me. "The Brennan party is here. 3 partners. Offer them coffee. I'll be there in 10 minutes. At 2:07, I walked into the conference room. 3 men stood up, all in their 60s, wearing expensive but slightly outdated suits. Men who'd been successful 20 years ago and were trying to hold on. Robert Brennan, my father, 64, gray hair, sharp eyes. He looked tired. Thomas Mitchell, 66, jovial, already sweating. Michael Brennan, 61, quiet, analytical. They smiled professionally. No recognition. "Gentlemen," I said, extending my hand. Catherine Morrison, managing partner. I used my mother's maiden name professionally. My father shook my hand. "Robert Brennan." "This is Thomas Mitchell and Michael Brennan." Still no recognition. He wasn't looking for his daughter. He was looking for a business opportunity. We sat. "I've reviewed your proposal. Before we dive in, tell me about your firm. What makes Brennan and Associates a good fit?" My father launched into his pitch, 40 years of experience, deep Chicago market knowledge, a proven track record. He was good, confident, professional. But I saw the desperation underneath. "Your financials show a 23% revenue decline over 3 years," I said. "What's driving that?" Thomas shifted uncomfortably. "Market consolidation. Clients moving to larger firms." "That's why we're here," my father interrupted. "The legal market has evolved. Clients want global reach and specialized expertise. Things we can't provide alone. But you can provide them together with us," I said. "Exactly. You've lost 3 major clients in 18 months. Why should we believe the remaining clients will stay?" His jaw tightened. "Those clients left due to industry consolidation, not service issues. One of them left for Miller and Cross," I said. "A firm smaller than yours. That's not consolidation. That's competition." Silence. "Ms. Morrison," Michael spoke up, "you're right. We face challenges. But we've survived for 40 years. Our relationships are strong. We're not here because we're failing. We're here because we're smart enough to evolve. Tell me about your succession plan." "Your senior partners are all over 60. Another pause. "We have several strong associates," Thomas said. "Marcus Brennan just made partner. He's 36, an excellent trial lawyer. One new partner isn't a succession plan. What happens when you 3 retire?" "That's why we're seeking a partnership," my father said. "Access to your resources would help us recruit top talent." I sat back. "Let me be direct. You're offering shrinking client relationships and expertise we already have in-house. Why would we agree to that?" The temperature dropped. "Because," my father said tightly, "we're offering you the Chicago market. 40 years of relationships you can't buy. We can hire it. We could recruit half your associates tomorrow for less." I was being harsh. I wanted him to feel what I'd felt for years. Inadequate. "Ms. Morrison," Thomas said, "perhaps we got off on the wrong foot. We're here to explore mutual benefit." "Then let me ask you this. What happens if we say no? What's your plan B?" No one answered. "Because from where I'm sitting, you don't have one. Without this partnership, you're looking at a slow decline into irrelevance." My father's face was red. "That's a harsh assessment." "It's an accurate one. Your projections are overly optimistic. Your value to us is minimal." I closed the folder. "I don't see a fit here." Wait, my father said sharply. You're rejecting us just like that? Unless you have something else to add. We have 40 years of excellence. We've represented Fortune 500 companies. You're dismissing that because of 3 bad years. I'm dismissing it, I said calmly, because it doesn't meet our strategic needs. He stood up abruptly. This is absurd. I reviewed your proposal in good faith. The answer is no. You're making a mistake. I rarely make mistakes, Mr. Brennan. He stared at me, his face flushed with anger and humiliation. And then something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Katie, he said, his voice uncertain. I stood slowly. Hello, Dad. The color drained from his face. Thomas looked between us, confused. You two know each other? Robert is my father, I said. Though we haven't spoken in 8 years. Michael sat back heavily. Oh my God. You're Catherine Morrison? My father's voice was barely a whisper. You've been Catherine Morrison this whole time. I use my mother's maiden name professionally. It's been my legal name for 7 years. But you're the managing partner? For 18 months. Before that, I was a senior partner at Kravitz. But you wouldn't know that. You haven't asked about my career since I graduated from Harvard Law, which you didn't attend. Thomas stood up. Robert, you said you had 2 children. A son who's a lawyer and a daughter who, he stopped. Who what? I asked. Who works in legal aid? Who handles parking tickets? Who doesn't have what it takes? My father looked ill. Ms. Morrison, Michael said carefully, perhaps we should reschedule. There's nothing to reschedule. The answer is still no. Katie, please, it's Catherine. Or Ms. Morrison. This isn't about our personal relationship. Isn't it? He looked at me. You spent my whole life telling me I wasn't good enough. You skipped my graduation. You haven't called in 8 years. And now you show up needing my help. I was wrong, he said quietly. About you. About everything. I waited. I should have stayed in touch. I should have, he stopped. I'm sorry. 8 years of waiting. And now it came because he needed something from me. Your apology is noted. But it doesn't change my decision. Brennan and Associates doesn't fit our needs. Please. The firm is my life's work. If we don't partner with someone, we won't survive. Then maybe you should have thought about succession planning earlier. You're going to let us fail just to punish me? I'm letting you fail because your proposal doesn't make business sense. The fact that you're my father is irrelevant. Is it? Are you enjoying this? Seeing me beg? That hit harder than it should have. This meeting is over. Rebecca will show you out. I walked toward the door. Catherine, wait. I paused but didn't turn. You're right, he said. About all of it. I compared you to Marcus. I dismissed you. I wasn't there. I was a terrible father. And now I'm reaping what I sowed. I turned slowly. He looked older. Defeated. I don't expect forgiveness, he continued. But I need you to know I'm proud of you. Seeing what you've built without any help from me. I'm proud. And I'm sorry it took losing everything to say it. I heard myself say, I'll review the proposal again. He looked up sharply. What? I'll review it again. Give me a week. If I can find a way to make it work on terms that benefit Morrison and Whitney, I'll consider a modified partnership. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is business, not forgiveness. I understand. And Dad? If we partner, you'll be reporting to me. Your firm will operate under our management. If you can't handle your daughter being your boss, walk away now. He swallowed hard. I can handle it. We'll see. I walked out, went to my office, and closed the door. My hands were shaking. Over the next week, I had my team do a deep dive. The findings were mixed. The bad. Revenue declining, client base shrinking, aging partners. The good, remaining clients were loyal, their legal work was solid, and their overhead was low. More importantly, I saw opportunity. If Morrison and Whitney acquired Brennan and Associates outright, not a partnership, but an acquisition, we could absorb their clients, their expertise, and their Chicago market position. It would cost less than starting from scratch. I drafted a counterproposal, an acquisition for $15 million. The 3 senior partners would stay on for 2 years in advisory roles, then transition to of counsel. Their associates would be offered positions with us. It meant my father would lose control of the firm he'd built. I called him on Friday. Robert Brennan. It's Catherine. Pause. I've been hoping you'd call. I have a counteroffer. Can you come to New York tomorrow? Just you. I'll be there. He arrived Saturday at 10 a.m. He looked nervous. Coffee? Please. We sat in my office. I have a proposal, I said, sliding a folder across. But it's not what you asked for. He opened it. I watched his face change. You want to buy us? Yes. For $15 million. You'd lose control, but you'd save your clients, your associates, and your legacy. Your name stays on the door. He read through the details. I'd be working for you. Yes. My daughter would be my boss. Yes. He set down the papers. Is this revenge? No. This is business. It's the best option for both firms. He stood and walked to the window. 40 years. I built that firm from nothing. 3 lawyers in a small office in 1984. It was my legacy. It still can be. Under Morrison and Whitney. Your name will reach further than ever. Your associates will have opportunities you couldn't give them. But it won't be mine. No. He turned around. Why are you doing this? You could have let us die. I thought about it. Because you were right about one thing. You built something worth preserving. And because those associates deserve better than to watch their careers collapse. I was one of them once. I know what it's like to work for someone who doesn't see your value. He smiled slightly. Fair point. He came back to the desk. If I agree to this, can I ask for one thing? What? Can we try to rebuild our relationship? Not just business. Father and daughter. I looked at him for a long moment. I don't know. 8 years is a long time. You hurt me deeply. And I'm not the same person. I don't need your approval anymore. I know. So, what are you asking for? A chance. To know who you've become. To be a father if you'll let me. Something cracked in my chest. We can try. But it'll take time. And if you compare me to Marcus one more time, we're done. He laughed. Fair. Though Marcus is actually intimidated by you. Good. We sat in silence. Will you take the offer? Can I discuss it with Thomas and Michael? You have until Monday. But this is the only offer. If you say no, we move on. Understood. At the door he paused. Catherine. I really am proud of you. I should have said it years ago. Yes, I said. You should have. Monday morning, my phone rang at 8:47. We're accepting your offer. I let out a breath. All 3 partners? Unanimously. Good. I'll have our legal team draw up the documents. The acquisition closed on May 28, 2024. The transition was smoother than expected. My father, Thomas, and Michael were professional throughout. Marcus called me 2 weeks later. Thank you for what you did. You gave Dad a dignified exit. We talked for an hour. He talks about you constantly now, Marcus said. Shows everyone your articles. It's annoying, actually. I laughed. My father and I started having dinner once a month. Awkward at first, then more natural. I was threatened by you, he admitted over Italian food one night. You were always smarter. More determined. And I knew if I encouraged you, you'd surpass me. Which you did anyway. So you tried to hold me back. I tried to convince myself you weren't as good as you were. I'm ashamed of it. Good, I said. You should be. But I squeezed his hand. 6 months later, I promoted 3 Brennan associates to partner at Morrison and Whitney. My father attended the announcement. Afterward, he pulled me aside. A year after the acquisition, my father officially retired. We threw him a party. I gave a speech. Robert Brennan built Brennan and Associates from nothing 40 years ago. He created opportunities for dozens of lawyers and served clients with distinction. He also happens to be my father, which made this acquisition complicated. The room laughed. Dad, you taught me resilience by making me develop it on my own. You taught me determination by giving me something to prove. You weren't always the father I needed, but you inadvertently gave me the skills to become the lawyer I wanted to be. So thank you for the lessons you meant to teach and the ones you didn't. He was crying. So was I. After the party, we stood on the balcony of my office. I'm sorry, he said. For the 100th time. I know. Are we okay? Really? I thought about the 8-year-old who wanted his approval, the 27-year-old who graduated alone, the 35-year-old who proved everyone wrong. We're getting there. It's not perfect. Might never be. But we're getting there. We stood in comfortable silence. Katie, he said quietly. I didn't correct him. If I had supported you from the beginning, I don't think you'd be standing here right now. You became this successful partly because you had something to prove. He paused. Sometimes the obstacles make us stronger, even when they're our own fathers. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'd have been just as successful with a supportive father. We'll never know. A pause. But for what it's worth, I forgive you. He looked at me sharply. Really? Really? It doesn't undo the hurt. But holding on to that anger is exhausting. And, because you're trying. He pulled me into a hug. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you. We stood there on that balcony, managing partner and retired father, while the sun set over Manhattan. I'd proven him wrong. I'd become the lawyer he said I'd never be. But more importantly, I'd become the person I wanted to be. With or without his approval. Though having it now felt pretty good too.